Hi everyone, Daniel from Homegrown Australia. We're just past mid-April here in 2021 and thought I'd do a quick video on my second batch of apple cider. First batch of apple cider was Granny Smith with a bit of crabapple in it. This one was a mixture of delicious apples and Granny Smith, and I'm seeing a real obvious difference from the get-go here, just to share that with you because I think it's interesting. And if you're thinking of making your own apple cider, this might be a really good tip on what apples to use and not use. So my first batch of apple cider with the Granny Smith and crab apples in it, and to be honest, it was mostly Granny Smith apples, straight out of fermentation. So I'm talking 4 or 5 days of sitting with the yeast, with the juice, and it was pouring clear, beautiful clear color. Now this one here is with the delicious apples and Granny Smith, maybe slightly more delicious than Granny Smith, but wouldn't be too much in it. And you can see here it's quite cloudy. Now, because I noticed it was cloudy and because I was out of time, to be honest, I'm struggling for time at the moment, I put it in the fermentation fridge hoping it might settle a little bit, and refrigerated it down. And certainly I can see at the bottom of the fermentation vessel, you've got that layer, that white layer at the bottom there where the yeast is all settled nicely. So we've got that out of solution, no issues there, but we've still got quite a cloudy product. And if I taste it, which I'm just doing now, it's not only is it not sweet, which you wouldn't expect anyway from a cider because the yeast, the sugar will get fermented by the yeast, but it's actually quite bitter. I'm going to bottle it up still and see how it goes. This is pretty much the same product that I made last year with a mixture of apples. So it will largely be the same as that, but tasting the Granny Smith only juice, it was a much nicer flavour, I've got to say, even before we've got it bottled in secondary fermentation in the bottle. So there's a little hint. Get on the Granny Smiths when you're making your cider. Maybe some of the sweeter varieties, which might be a bit counterproductive or counterintuitive, sorry, and not that good for cider. So what else we got going on here? We obviously had our airlock sitting in the top of the fermentation vessel. We've been working our way through washing the bottles. I like to wash my bottles just before I'm going to use them. After I use the bottle, I obviously rinse them out, make sure they're clean before I put them away. But yeah, I tend to wash them again. So really simple process. I get a bit of soapy water. I used to use the low suds, but now I just use same stuff I use in my kitchen, and give that a good wash out with the bottle brush. I'm doing this one-handed, so obviously do that a bit more vigorously. Then I'll rinse that soap out. I'll pour that into the next bottle, so I'm not wasting soap. And then I'll rinse that out and bring that over, put it on the bottle tree. We'll make a solution of sanitizer in a nice big 5 litre jug, and use a bit of Stella Sand, which is from Kegland, and that's about 1.5 mils per litre. So we'll use a little over 5 mils, which has got a nice little measuring thing here on the side here. You can see 5 mils. So we'll measure a bit of that into there. And then we'll pour that from bottle to bottle to bottle. So I'll probably get, I don't know, about 8 bottles out of one jug, and then I'll pour all the bottles back in the jug and then do the next bottles, put them back on the tree. I know this isn't necessary, but I actually like to rinse my bottles again after I've sterilised them. And I haven't had a problem doing that. I'm not a fan of chemicals, so yeah, I guess that's a little personal preference thing. We've obviously got our sugar cubes. I'm getting really low on those, so we'll put one of them in each of the bottles, and then put the juice in, and we'll cap it up with the capper. So obviously you can get the caps, and you can get the capping machines at all the distilling and brewing suppliers. I really like this company here, Aussie Brewmakers. They're based in Mansfield in Victoria. They've got a website you can order from. I've always found them really quick to respond, and I get to Mansfield quite regularly. I've got some timeshare there, and I love calling in and having a chat and picking up some stuff from those guys. They're really helpful, so obviously don't get anything out of that. I'm not putting any links in the bottom of this to them, but if you're looking for someone to support and buy your products online, or if you're in the area of Mansfield, they've got a great range of supplies from brewing equipment, grains, and brewing, distilling, and bottling kits, and cheese making, all that sort of good stuff. So, and even a little bit of stuff for bees as well. So, and they do all of that stuff themselves, so they know what they're talking about and give some really great advice. And actually, the first thing I bought off, I'm getting distracted, I'm sorry, but the first thing I bought off Aussie Brewmakers was a great little tomato press to make my passata. It was really inexpensive, and I've had it now for, I don't know, 6 years or something, and it's been great. So, what else can I tell you? Bottles, in terms of bottling. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a preference in terms of whether you're opening these and drinking them on your own, I guess how much you like to drink, but obviously there's a few different sizes. What I've come to like, and this was on the advice of a friend actually, and he actually gave me a bunch of these, is I've come to like these 500ml bottles. Washing bottles is a pain, filling bottles is a pain, and at the same time you don't want wastage. So you can go the 750ml long neck bottles, you can go the 375ml bottles, which are obviously a bit smaller. I find these are sort of a good compromise between those two, and I think these were probably originally German, certainly German beer that was in them, and they're really thick bottles, so I've come to really like those and need to thank my friend for that. Other than that, what can we tell you? This is just a little spray pump pack that I fill up with sanitizer, and it's just handy to have, so I'll spray down the bottle tree with that before I put the bottles on. And then finally, because I am actually going to run out of sugar today, I prefer using these, just out of convenience, I prefer using these sugar cubes. But today I'll have to resort to a little sugar scoop, and I'll just be using regular white sugar and scooping a teaspoon of that into each of the bottles. So that's another option as well that you can get. That just makes it easier to get into the tops of the bottles. So other than that, that's 8 minutes on the video. So hope that inspires you to, if you've got apple trees, it's just another way you can use up your apples. I get way too much to just make stewed apples and eat them fresh. It's just a way I can get through bulk apple, and gives me a nice drink for next summer to have in the cupboard. Thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned. I will get around to producing the bigger video of actually making the cider, which hopefully will be a little bit more interesting. And yeah, if you'd like to see that, please subscribe. And if you thought this was useful, give me a thumbs up. It gives me the encouragement to make more of these videos on the journey, and yeah, build my subscriber base. So thanks again. Appreciate you watching. And thanks to all those that have liked and subscribed so far. I'll endeavour to keep this going. Cheers for now, bye.